All right. So, welcome to the Catalyst Way recording. We want to use this as a platform to basically share our thoughts about the Catalyst Way, purpose and meaning, hopefully helping people kind of think about how they're living their lives. So, feel free to share any of your thoughts.
Absolutely. Well, I'm grateful for us being able to finally get around to doing this, something we talked about for a while, and something that we do care a lot about, and that is helping individuals who cross our path understand exactly what it is to live with purpose and meaning and how they can achieve that for themselves and also for their loved ones and even those that they serve. So yeah, I think this is going to be great.
So, we'll start with intros so you get to know who we are. So, my name is Bill Johnson. I've been doing purpose and meaning work, gosh, since 2007 when I was trained as a purpose coach and a dream coach. Was able to incorporate this work in my position at UNCG first as courses, and then we created a training program. We've worked with several thousand people over the years on incorporating this work into their educational setting and more now into their private practice and coaching, private practice, and et cetera. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm retired, so I get to do this 24/7. So I'm excited about that.
I am Ivor Buffong, and I am not quite retired, not yet, but I am a personal trainer, co-owner of a youth soccer club here in Greensboro, North Carolina, Eagles RFC. I am also doing a lot of this purpose work with my players and parents, but more recently have been doing a lot of this work with churches, with pastors, congregations, finding more of the spiritual meaning behind why this work is necessary, needed, and why we should include it in what we do across many religious frameworks. So that's me in a nutshell.
All right, so we're gonna start off with a slide because we love slides, and
Yes, we do.
we're gonna start off with why we're doing this work in the first place. So I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna share this slide with you um, to talk about why we're even doing this work. So this is it in a nutshell. We are in a purpose crisis, a purpose and meaning crisis. What you'll see here is the data behind why we do this work. So you can see 65% of employees seek purpose and meaning in work. 70% of high school students admitted to not knowing or being unsure about their future. 58% of college students seek purpose and meaning at school. 83% of churchgoers say they would value mentorship and discovering their purpose at church. 73% of student athletes report wondering about their purpose after sports at least once a month. 45% of student athletes desire mentorship about life purpose and meaning from their coach. 45% of parents want to have deep conversations about purpose with their children on a regular basis. 61% of millennials between the ages of 29 and 44 believe they don't have purpose and meaning in their lives. 56% of seniors 50 and older don't have purpose and meaning in their lives. 57% of Americans wonder, how can I find more purpose and meaning in my life at least once a month? And the bottom line is, help me figure out what I should do with my life. So that's why, and I would say, and I will probably agree, we're both obsessed with helping people. Not even a desire, not even a strong desire, not even a love. This has become an obsession for us. We meet every Tuesday and talk about purpose and meaning. So we thought, instead of just hiding our conversations, let's just share our conversations with the world. So I'll let you share any thoughts you might have, or just start the
No,
conversation.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. As far as those statistics go, my area of focus or where I've been hanging out the most is smack dab in the middle of that list. When you talk about your student athletes and you talk about your churchgoers, and you're right, it really is an obsession because now that we know what to do with our lives, you spend more time really asking, well, how many others don't know? And what can we do to help get them to that place? Because it wasn't something that for either one of us happened overnight. We understand that it is a process, and we just want to invite others to take that journey.
Yep. And just so you know, it would probably be good if we actually gave you a definition of purpose and meaning. So I'll read to you the definitions we have for purpose and meaning. So purpose is basically become the best version of yourself in service of something bigger than yourself. And meaning is understanding your unique role in the world and why your existence matters. So that's purpose and meaning in a nutshell. And we believe helping people find those two things forms a foundation for anything else that they might decide to do. So, and we've created documents around this. We're actually in the process of putting together a book around this. So this has been a journey that has evolved over, I would say, let's see, I met you in 2015, I think.
Correct? Yes.
And it's been a journey that we've taken together since 2015, but I think over the past 2 or 3 years, it has really taken a deeper um, root into ourselves. And I would say since December, it has really um, like almost like become part of our blood, like it's part of our blood.
And I think a lot of that has stemmed from us continuing to ask ourselves, why are we here? And what are we here to do?
Mhm.
And how do we go about doing that? And I think that continuing to ask each other those questions and digging deeper is why the quest to make sure that we get this to as many people as possible has evolved the way that it has.
Mhm. Well, and I want to, if you don't mind sharing your story, we did the training, a 3-day training in December of 2024. And a week later, you did this workshop. You did a couple sessions with a group of pastors. So can you share a little bit on how that transformed your way of thinking a little bit?
So sure, I ended up doing a workshop for a group of pastors at a church here locally. And I think what was really eye-opening for me was within the breaks that we took during that workshop, just how many men and women in leadership positions were sharing with me through the activities that we were doing that they themselves had questions that were unfolding right in the middle of the workshop. That even though they knew, yes, I'm in a position of leadership, but I haven't really had a chance to dig into my story and tell my story. But again, as a leader, who would they tell it to and who could they share it with? Because oftentimes, standing up in front of your congregation and being that vulnerable isn't exactly what you're going to church on a Sunday morning to be faced with. So just having the space there for them to be able to unfold and understand what was going on within them, to then know, after I deal with this piece, how do I then now get my congregation to the place where they all individually know that, yes, God does have a purpose for your life, but how do I get you to it? How do I help you understand the process that you can go through? How do I lead you down that path so that you know more than just, yes, God has you here. God does have you here for a reason, but you don't know exactly how to get to what that reason is. Because on the personal side, that's where I found myself. Been in church for years, dad's retired pastor, evangelist, and I have served in many positions in church. So I understand serving. I understand helping. I understand that, yes, God loves you and God does have a purpose for your life. But I understood also that what was missing was I'm not being coached or guided on exactly how to get to that, which ends up being another conversation altogether that I'll leave for another day because we don't want to squeeze all of that into this first episode.
Yes, we will get to that down the road.
Yes.
Um, and for me, we did the 3-day training, and probably a couple of weeks later, my wife and I went to to Hilton Head, South Carolina, for a vacation. And in the middle of our vacation, I had this, I'll just call it an epiphany, where all of a sudden I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to do. And ended up writing this manifesto that was first like 10 or 12 pages, and right now it's 37 pages. But really, it outlined what is this thing called the Catalyst Way? How does purpose and meaning fit into all this? What kind of tools can I create that could help people like the ones, the pastors and ministers that Ivor was working with? And my specialty is education, higher education. So, how could I help students, faculty, and staff in higher education really get clear about why they're here, what they're here to do, or who they want to be and what they want to do? So I really want to focus on how can every student, how can every faculty member, how can every staff member really get clear about what purpose and meaning means for them. And the other part is, and then share it with others. So it's not just do it for yourself, but you also have to share it with others. And that's another piece that I don't think if you go out and look at people who do all these different workshops, I don't think that's a piece that they include is, well, we're going to teach you this stuff, and then you just try to figure it out yourself versus figure it out. We're going to share it with you. You do the work, but then you're obligated to share it with other people. And I think that's what makes it distinctive versus a lot of other programs.
And I think that's what's made our conversation even more interesting because for me on the spiritual side, that process you just described is what I call discipleship, right? It is what you should do. You should take it to someone else. You should show someone else, guide them through the process. But you can only do that if you've taken the journey yourself and you're willing to take the journey at a deep enough level that you can have that conversation with someone and walk them down that path. Because I do think, just like you mentioned with the manifesto, I think everyone should have a manifesto.
And we actually have an activity where at some point we're going to show you that you can actually create your own manifesto. Um, so
Yes.
so my hope is with this channel, and I think I should say our hope is with this channel, is to really share a lot of the stuff that we think about, that we talk about, that we create with you so that not only can we guide you on your journey, but by having these conversations, it can help us enhance our journey on purpose and meaning as well. So, so that's why we decided to create this little channel, whether podcast, YouTube, it's going to be on both. But we really want to have an opportunity to share the brains behind this work that we're doing.
You know,
So,
we always talk about the best version of yourself, right? And I think that is knowing yourself so that you can understand what that best version would look like and even know that that's a work in progress for the two of us, that we're still taking that journey every day.
right. So our goal with this is we've committed to 25 episodes.
Yes.
So no matter what happens, the earth could be crashing. We're still going to commit to
Be here
25
for
episodes
25.
of this. So we're hoping we're going to create something once a week, but some weeks we might do more. But we've committed to doing 25 episodes and talking about different topics around purpose and meaning. It might be around a tool that I just created. I don't know. We're just going to play it by ear, but we know we're going to do 25. That's the guarantee.
Correct. Yes.
So we're excited. So I didn't know if there's a topic you want to talk about right now, or should we just like where would you like to go from here?
I think this is probably a good place to end our first one. Now that we've just given the overall synopsis of why we're doing this and exactly what it is we're doing, and we'll unfold everything starting next week.
Okay, that sounds good. So you'll be able to find us on the Catalyst Way on YouTube, and we'll have other mechanisms for you to be able to find us. But right now, this will be part of the Catalyst Way YouTube channel. So hopefully you'll be able to subscribe and check in and watch some of the other episodes that we'll be putting out for you to watch. So, any final thoughts before we call it a day?
Nope, just great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us and looking forward to how we can help you live with purpose and meaning.
All right, I agree. Well, thank you, Ivor. Let's close out today and let's go from there. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.